Thank you for joining us here today on Hill Country Happenings News Minutes. Hayes Ritchie has been named Star Student for the 2019-2020 school year by the Mississippi Economic Council, M.B. Swayze Foundation, sponsor of the Student Teacher Achievement Recognition Program, or the STAR program. This year marks the 55th anniversary of the STAR program. Established by the Mississippi Economic Council in 1965, the purpose of the STAR program is to recognize outstanding students and teachers in Mississippi. The New Albany School senior will be acknowledged among the over 330 STAR students in Mississippi for their academic achievements. STAR students are selected on the basis of academic excellence, and both American College test scores and scholastic averages are compared to determine the school's STAR student. Ritchie is a member of the Pride of the New Albany Marching Band, National Honor Society, Future Business Leaders of America, Technology Student Association, and the ACT 30 Plus Club. He was a member of the Union County Leadership Academy and served as Boy State Delegate. Ritchie attends Fredonia Baptist Church, and he is the son of Christine and Drew Ritchie. Now, the STAR program encourages and promotes academic achievement among Mississippi's high school seniors. Each STAR student is asked to designate a STAR teacher, the teacher who has made the greatest contribution to this student's scholastic achievement. And this year's STAR teacher is Philip Laney. Congratulations. Now you need some more good news? State Treasurer David McRae says that we understand these are hard times for many families, and it's easy to find bad news in all of it. So today they're launching the Tell Me Something Good Scholarship Program. Each week in May, a Mississippi pre-K to 12 student will be awarded $529 College Saving Mississippi scholarship for doing good in their communities during the COVID-19 pandemic. Perhaps they volunteered at the grocery store for vulnerable populations, or made masks, or helped virtually tutor other students. Whatever the story, they want to hear it. Now they need your help to help make these nominations. To enter the contest, the student must be nominated by a family member, a friend, a teacher, or a community member. To nominate a student, simply complete out the online registration form. Entries are due each Thursday at 5 p.m. and the winners will be announced each Monday in May. Now you can go to the address, and you can also find this address on our news website, hcntoday.news. This week, Baptist Memorial Hospital, Union County, recently announced Georgia Harris has been named as the Services First Champion for this quarter. Georgia has over 11 years of experience in the Environmental Services Department and was nominated by a colleague for coming to the aid of a visitor. Service First champions are individuals who consistently exceed all expectations for the purpose of serving others and are nominated by colleagues, physicians, patients, and their family or support people for outstanding service. Congratulations, Ms. Georgia. In the nomination, the colleague described how Georgia routinely walks the halls to check all areas, including the nutrition room, where she found a visitor unconscious. She immediately took action and stayed with the visitor until help arrived. At the end of her shift, Georgia returned to visit her new patient, who expressed gratitude for her care. The colleague wrote, Georgia's compassionate response helped to make this situation a positive outcome. This is just one of the many examples of Georgia's sweet nature. She stepped outside her comfort zone and went beyond her call of duty to make a difference in someone's life. Georgia's compassion and empathy for others exemplify what Service First champions should be, said James Grantham, the CEO and administrator. It is an outstanding team members like Georgia who makes real differences at Baptist Union County and in the lives of our patients. Now, Baptist Union County became the first hospital in Mississippi to earn 5 stars from the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services for the hospitals. Now, for a hospital to qualify, outcomes and safety and patient satisfaction has to be up there. The Charter Center for Rural Health also recognized the hospital as one of the top 100 rural and community hospitals in the country. Now, each month we tell you about students in grades 3 through 5 at New Albany Elementary School who completed an employment application for volunteer jobs around the school. Now, these pictures are the students who were assigned in March. Students' volunteer jobs range from classroom helper, scuff mark remover, office vacuumer, recycling helper, and more. And this year, over 200 students of 3rd and 5th grade volunteered. Good job, y'all. The COVID-19 is still real in our state and in our country. On May the 1st, Mississippi Department of Human Services posted that to date, there have been 7,441 cases reported with 291 deaths. And the CDC released on May the 2nd that there were 30,262 new cases, bringing the total reported cases to 1,092,815 cases, where there have been 1,829 new deaths, bringing the total to 64,283 total deaths in the United States. The chart on the CDC website showed that April the 5th was the highest peak day we've had so far, with 63,455 new cases in one day. Now, on the average, there are 30,000 new cases daily. Also at Baptist Memorial Hospital, North Mississippi Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle and Baptist Memorial Hospital Union County were awarded an A rating in the spring 2020 Leapfrog Hospital Safety Grade. Baptist Golden Triangle achieved an A for the 8th consecutive year and is the only hospital in Mississippi to have received A's every year for patient safety since Leapfrog began grading hospitals in 2012. We're grateful to receive this recognition, especially as our healthcare heroes take to the front lines to protect our communities against the COVID-19, said Jason Little, the CEO of Baptist Memorial Healthcare. We appreciate and love our team members and thank them for their continued dedication to healthcare quality and safety. Now, as the nation copes with a challenging pandemic, our gratitude extends to hospital leadership and the healthcare workers for their tremendous dedication, said Lee Binder, President and CEO of the Leapfrog Group. We hope this A helps to thank people who work and volunteer for these 3 Baptist hospitals. They are role models in putting patients first, and their service has been extraordinary in our country's time of need. Developed under the guidance of National Expert Panel, the Leapfrog Hospital Safety Grade uses up to 28 measures of publicly available hospital safety data to assign grades to more than 2,600 U.S. acute care hospitals twice per year. The hospital safety grades methodology is peer-reviewed and fully transparent, and the results are free to the public. Baptist North Mississippi, Baptist Golden Triangle, and Baptist Union County were awarded an A grade. Now you can see the full grade details at hospitalsafetygrade.org, and you can follow the Leapfrog Group on Twitter and Facebook. Now the Oxford Film Fest second weekly virtual fest, running from May the 1st to the 8th, will kick off a special conversation panel on Black stories in Mississippi and follow with films and animation through the week. They're really starting to get into what Executive Director Melanie Addington's innovation is by offering weekly programming that would have taken the place over just 4 days of the Film Fest as originally designed. But now essentially Oxford, Memphis, and all of Mississippi and the world, they can have something new to look forward to each week through the rest of the year when it comes to available films and filmed entertainment and panels to see thanks to the Oxford Film Festival, and all from the safety of their living room. It's like an antidote or an alternative to the usual Netflix cable offerings. For the month of February, grades 1 through 5 at New Albany Elementary School participated in accelerated reader completions. The one class from each grade that had the most combined AR points won an ice cream party with extra recess. Now, the school total AR points earned during the 1-month competition was 6,613 points. And the following classes won from their grade level. First grade, Belinda Denton. Second grade, Sarah Garrett. Third grade, Allie Randolph. Fourth grade, Farrah Beasley. Fifth grade, Molly Bryan. And honorable mention is first grade, Tiffany Thrasher. The New Albany Elementary School also recognizes the students who have earned 100+ AR points so far this school year. Now, we reached out to some local farmers and planters in our area about how they're going to handle the market sales. Jack Hamlin stated that they have not made any definite plans yet on his farm because the crop's not in. But he'll let us know. He did send us some pictures, though. And Sean Johnson, Houston, Mississippi's Chickasaw Development Foundation director, stated that Houston will have their farmers market starting the last Saturday in May, and they'll have the spacing protocols, and only the vendors will handle the food. They're also looking at proportioning the food with a drive-by service. And Amanda Stark with Cherry Creek Orchard stated they've not opened yet, but plan to do their part in keeping people safe when they do. They'll wear gloves and masks when interacting with the public and limit the number of people in the store area. They will also offer curbside service. Now, Kelly Cawthorpe from Bailey Farm, who also helps with the farmers market here in New Albany, along with Mary Jennifer Russell, stated they do not have the final plans for the New Albany market, but they are considering a couple of options, such as curbside service and only the vendors handling the food. It will be this next week or two when they will make the announcement for the Biscuits and Jams Farmers Market. Now, I went to buy some tomato plants from Miss Kelly, and she gave me a tour of her family home place. And we'll have some of that footage later in the show. And we did hear from Ed today as rain gauge over in the Liberty area, and there was 0.22 inches of rain. And the weather for this week looks like Monday is mostly cloudy with high of 84 and low around 65, with a slight chance of storms around 1 a.m. And Tuesday, the high near 81 with an 80% chance of rain and thunderstorms. And then that night with a 40% chance of rain and thunderstorms with a low around 55. Wednesday, they're expecting sunny with a high near 76 and a low 49. Thursday will be sunny with a high around 74 and the low at 51. And Friday, there's a 20% chance of rain and showers with a high of near 72. Now, thank you for joining us here today on Hill Country Happenings News Minutes. We're on all the social media, so be sure to follow us. We're on Twitter and Instagram, and go to our Facebook page and follow us there because we're posting all the time. And we are on YouTube, so be sure to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you know when we post new shows. And we're trying to get 1,000 subscribers just as soon as we can. We have 2 websites, and we have one for the station where you can watch our programming anytime, anywhere around the world. It's at hillcountrynetwork.net. You can also go to our news website at hcntoday.news. We are the very first to cover all of North Mississippi on our news website. Now, we hope you stay tuned for the rest of the show, and we hope you have a wonderful week.
So, yeah, I got 17 varieties planted this year, all colors.
17 varieties.
Got a lot of new ones I'm trying. You know, I like, the greatest thing to me about gardening is the challenge of trying something new, and I'm just curious about what's it going to do. So I have to try new stuff, and I order seeds, and I read a lot about different varieties and try things that other people think are good, that I admire, I respect. I don't know if that's true, that's just something I do. I got these are some different varieties of basil I got going. That's called aromatic. It's supposed to have a beautiful flower. You know, I keep flowers in the house. I give everybody flowers in my family.
Right.
That one's cinnamon basil.
Oh, that one?
Yeah, let's see. You know, I do a lot of pickles.
Right.
And look at that. This comes back every year. Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
That's the dill head seeds. And see, they'll drop. Just come up. I'll let them. And then I grow them next to my cucumbers. That just makes sense to me. And I prune my cucumbers. And I can tell that because if I don't, I've already had 3 cucumbers. And they're pretty good.
With them.
These are hot peppers.
Oh, cayennes.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Thai, reaper, habanero, just a little bit of everything. Last year I planted a whole row and it was way too much, so I'm just doing a few this year. I hadn't put out any bell pepper. We eat a lot of bell pepper.
Do you?
Yeah, but these are a new Italian variety I'm growing that Thomas Jefferson grew.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And I'm real excited about that. I have no idea what they'll taste like, but I just like the history.
Yeah, really.
So, these 2 rows are supposed to be purple Cherokee, where I saved the seed, but we'll see if they turn out to be purple Cherokee, because they could have cross-pollinated. They could be some new miracle tomato farm. You know, I was in the business for 25 years where I couldn't make a mistake. I don't worry about that anymore. So I'm like, whatever. I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on myself. Some people think I'm crazy. They taste good.
Yeah, really.
And I didn't, let's see. Oh, this is one of my favorites right here. This is Paul Robeson. This one's named for the opera singer who sang Old Man River.
And it's called what?
His name, Paul Robeson. The Russians loved him, so they named a tomato after him.
Nice.
See, these take like 90 days, and I've had these planted since, oh God, probably either the 1st of March or end of February.
Wow.
Yeah, they take forever.
And these are which ones?
Brandywine.
Brandywine.
Yeah, heirlooms normally take 80 to 90 days. Most people don't plant them because they just a lot of work and they take so long. Where hybrids can be 50 days, 50 to 60 days.
And plus, a lot of the hybrids don't have that hard green core in them.
Yeah, or disease resistant.
Yeah. But they don't taste the same.
They don't taste the same.
You know, they taste like a tomato, but they don't taste the same. I love that tree.
That's an old pecan tree. So, that pear tree, like 150 years old.
Oh my gosh.
That's probably 100 years old. Yeah, I'm the 5th generation to live here.
Right.
Now, the blueberries we planted when one of our granddaughters was born, so they're 6 years old.
Oh.
We plant something whenever somebody's born.
Right. That's great.
Yeah, they love it.
This is mine.
Where's my tree? Where's my blah blah? I think there's 12 in here. I wish you'd take them off. They haven't had any. I did spray them with some copper to keep the blight. But when you plant them, you know to plant them deep, 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 as deep as you can.
Okay, say that again. Plant them deep.
Tomatoes deep. And all of this will be root which will feed your plant, you know, and make it even healthier.
Okay.
I was thinking I might tell. It could be a black tomato, it could be a yellow, it could be orange, it could be pink. I don't know. But it's not going to be red.
Okay.
I don't grow red.
You don't grow reds.
So, is that okay?
If they're reds, they're a fluke.
If they're red, they'll be surprised to know. I'll tell you where a lot of stuff is at the museum, because the woman who built this house, my great-great-great-grandmother, was a Wilkins, and there's a little Wilkins kiosk by the front door. And her picture's in there. Her name was Martha Minerva Caroline Esther Wilkins. And she married my great-great-great-great-grandfather, and they built this house in about 1870.
Wow.
So, was original were the front two rooms. My son-in-law's a contractor. He's going
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you waited for. You and your pot, Corona, going back and forth. And sitting in your house, the kids are going overboard, taking your breath, stealing your mind. And all that you were is left behind. Don't worry, there's a plan and it's coming at you. If you could only gain control of what you're running after. Your sanity is coming, see you getting closer. Don't surrender, cause you feel your kids are taking over. It's rags, it's weeds, it's a fluid motion. It's a hedge, you're in the thicket, so you'll find devotion. You get them cleaning at the brink of every wall you're golden. You wanna know, so I'll try and tell you how to go. When the kids are working, when it's light, we're random and sprayed all through the night. Down as a clean and true, they're just running through. From light up until sundown, COVID can't stop us now. Ages are running true, breaking over you. Oh, these are the greatest joys. Doing everything you want, doing everything you need. These kids right in front of you. This is where you wanna be. Doing everything you want. Right in front of you. This is where you wanna be. These are the greatest joys. But the kids are working when it's light. We're rounding the spade all through the night. Down as the cleanest true, they're just running through. Oh, these are the greatest joys. From light up until sundown. It can't stop us now. Edges are running through, breaking over you. Everybody wants right in front of you. And the sailing possible is coming true. And the kids can't stop us now. These are the greatest joys. Oh, oh, oh. 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 These are the greatest joys.
Hi guys, we're the Reid family.
Clint?
Brandy, Polly Beth, John David, and Sydney. We are so glad you watched our video and we hope you all enjoyed it. We are praying for you all every day and we can't wait for everything to return to normal. And please feel free to share our video with your friends and family. And thanks again for watching. Bye! Bye!
First two. I'm gonna take my plunger down to yoga mode. I'm gonna plunge till I clear that bowl. I'm gonna take my plunger down to yoga mode. I'm gonna plunge till I clear that bowl. On the toilet in the back, toilet paper all in stacks. Magazines are in the rack, overflowing to the max. I'm calling on the phone, scraping poopies in my home. I've been left here all alone, around my feet I got the phone. Ain't nobody flushing nothing.
Ain't nobody flushing nothing.
Ain't nobody flushing nothing.
Ain't nobody flushing nothing.
Don't know what's the matter, I just relieved my bladder. Is it flushing? Maybe. No, it's a disaster. It's like a bad movie, produced by my booty, splashed on my blue jeans. It's come do your duty.
Ain't nobody flushing nothing.
Ain't nobody flushing nothing.
Ain't nobody flushing nothing.
Ain't nobody flushing nothing.
I'm gonna take my plunger down to yoga mode. I'm gonna plunge till I clear that bowl. I'm gonna take my plunger down to yoga mode. I'm gonna plunge till I clear that bowl. Yeah, it's bad out there. Y'all been flushing all that pee-pee down the toilet, stopping everything up. It's nasty.
Nasty.
Y'all got to stop. Shoot, we out.
So we're gonna do a collage today, and as I looked around for examples of collage, I really had forgotten how important collage is to me and my own personal artwork. I have stacks of used paper plates that look like this, and I would just go in and start cutting away. And if I was doing a green apple, I would go through and I would look for all of the greens, and I would cut these little chunks of green out, and then I would start building up my layers and creating these little vegetables. I even had, I still do, and I love to, like, it gives me great joy to get into this box and dig around and find all of these little chunks. Like, isn't that wonderful to have? And, you know, start making whatever. I mean, like, I was at in fact, I made a promise to one child that I was going to take this piece right here and turn it into a mermaid painting for her. And I saw her a few months ago. I think it was at Christmas I saw her, and it had been probably 5 months since that day, and she said, "Do you have my mermaid painting?" I've got to do that kid's mermaid painting. I've got to do it. It's Hattie. If she were to see this, I have not forgotten. But when I saw that piece of paper, I was like, oh my goodness, I never did the mermaid painting. I also did, like, using the same technique, I made these little flowers, and then I started doing, I made these little caterpillars, and I called these little love bugs, and they're just little circles, and they're just cut from paper plates that I've used to mix my paint on. So, as you know, so I'm looking around today for all of these different collage elements, things that you can use. If you're into collage, this is when it really pays off to be a hoarder, because you just have these little objects that you can't seem to part with, like these. Oh my goodness, these are the little pieces of dried up paint that you find every time you open a paint tube. So after I've used, let's see if I have it in this tube right here. There's not a piece there, but usually where I've over, you know, squeezed my paint tube, this little glob comes out and dries up. And then the next time I open up my paint tube, it's there. Or even it's sometimes in the lid. I'm going to show y'all just some very basic things that you might want to start with. this is an old magazine from the 90s, an old interview magazine. And a good thing to start with is just a background photo. Sometimes your background might be an old painting that you have that you don't like. That's really good to start with because it already has color, the background is covered. You know, you don't have to worry about filling in any little specks if you like, you know, things being covered solid. So you could start with something really simple that just kind of covers your space. I did not have anything that was really easy to grab. I'm trying to find oh, I like this. I like these stripes. I didn't really have a piece of cardboard. We just recycled, so I don't have any just sitting around here. So I'm using as my background surface, I'm just going to use this piece of watercolor paper. I hate to waste that, but I'm going to. And so I would, if I weren't doing a demo, I would just glue this whole piece of paper to this so that it's sturdy. Because this magazine paper is so thin and flimsy, and it's not going to like a whole bunch of glue on it. But just for time's sake, let's just pretend I glued that down, because y'all don't want to watch me glue a piece of paper to another piece of paper. That's boring. So let's pretend like that's glued down. I'm going to tilt this camera down just a little so my Facebook people can see better. And I'm going to tilt this camera down. Okay, so here's our backdrop. And then what we would want to do is and this is doing a collage takes a lot of time. And the more time you take with it, the better the results are going to be for it. If you're going to just like throw something together and just glue it down and say, okay, I'm done, you're probably not going to have anything very special. To me, what I like to do is I like to go through a stack of magazines or books or whatever, and I will have a whole stack of photos to work with. I might not use all of those photos, but I'll have those to play with. So ideally, you would probably have a stack of maybe 20 images or so. I just totally made that number up. But you would have this stack of images, and when you're just playing with it, you could do what I would call a rough cut, where, I mean, I'm doing a rough cut for you right now, where it's basically cut out, but it's not really cut all the way up to the edges. I would never use this in my finished piece, but it's cut out enough that I can see how it's going to look on my composition. And so I can play around with the placement of it, but it's not really fun to play around with the placement of one object. I mean, that's super boring. So I would keep, digging around, and what I'm gonna do, so that you don't have to watch me cut out images from a magazine all day long, I'm going to use a few of the images that I already have cut out from that piece I'm doing. These are all extras. And I want you to see the fun that you can have with multiples when you're doing something like this. Now, if you don't have access to a printer, then, maybe you're out of luck with that. But I want you to see this. Now, this is an image that I've got that I have not cut out. Now, this was something I used for a different project, so I actually don't even know. I don't know that I even used this image at all. Maybe I didn't like it when I finished with it. But if you're going to use something like this and you don't cut it out, sometimes that's not very much fun, because it doesn't look like it fits. It looks like you just stuck a photo down. And, that could be a good thing, you might like that. It might break up your background. My background's very bold and it's almost solid with, you know, the image of it. So, you know, maybe it would be good for me to knock some of that out a little bit. However, it's really fun when you have something really super cut out and then you make it look like it fits in with another image. And so one of the things that I watched in the video of the girl that I sent you the link to, one of the things that she did that I loved, and I think it's so much fun to do, is she took, I'll use this one as an example. She took a whole page photo and then she cut out another little image. How can I lose my scissors just right there? Oh, there they are. Okay. So let's say we take this kid's head right here, and I'm gonna try to cut out a little closer to him. And I'm just gonna cut out a little bit extra long neck for him. And cut out around the edge of his head, like this. And then what she did is she took a little X-Acto knife and she found a little spot. I'm gonna try it right here. She made a little slit in her background photo. And then she popped that image down in there. And then it almost blends seamlessly with this. And then it's awesome because now you have this person with a gigantic head in your collage, which I love how that looks. And then what you could do, if you've got multiples of that, you know, you could cut out that kid's head every time and replace everyone's head with his head. And now wouldn't that be a fun thing to do? So let me just do one more. Like that. The fact that these are all black and white photos, that makes this very, very forgiving. You know, if I were putting a black and white photo on top of a color photo, this would really stick out a lot. But I mean, it really, to me, it looks very believable. Not that this person with the giant head would be there, but just the image, it flows together, so it looks like, for some reason, this belongs here. So you can have lots of fun with this. To me, collage is like the original Photoshop, because now, you know, I know that it's really easy to, in Photoshop, take somebody's head, stick it on another person's body. This is definitely, in my opinion, more fun, more hands-on, and you can be much more creative because you'll find lots of random things that you can do to stick different images together. So I'm going to stick this back here. So there's one thing that's been altered that's kind of fun. And then, I don't know what happened to my woman. Oh, here she is, that I cut out earlier. Now, having a variety of magazines and different media to look into is very helpful. The fact that this is a 1990, probably 1992 interview magazine means that it's filled with a lot of really gigantic, artsy black and white photos. So, you know, not a ton of variety here. I'm probably not going to find a picture of a baseball player swinging a bat or even a piece of broccoli. Here's a different kind of image. Now, when you're doing something like this where it's all like, you know, dictionary page, phone book pages, a hymnal, things like that. It's gonna make somebody just have a heart attack. I'm tearing out of it. It makes some people nervous, uncomfortable when I tear out of dictionaries too, but I have some that people gave me, so it's okay. But these are nice images to work with as background because they're kind of neutral and they're also fun to paint. So it would be fun to have something like this, like an old book, and you could do your watercolor on top of it, or color pencil, or whatever, or watered down acrylics. You know, alter this first and have that to work with, and then bring it in to something like that. So that would be super fun to play with, or, you know, any kind of book like that. Another thing that I have that I just have, like, because of my obsession with collage, is I have, like, when I see school libraries and stuff they'll put tables out of old books, or you'll see them at yard sales or whatever. I love old dictionaries and encyclopedias. Is that the word I'm looking for? Encyclopedia, yeah. These are old children's, you know, encyclopedias. My students probably don't even know what those are. But they're full of all these cool old photos and also illustrations that I think are really cool to use. And I use these a lot in things. I love this drawing right here of these little kids in this fishbowl. Look at that. They have great illustrations. Now I'm looking for things that aren't so special because I want to save those for something else. Okay, here's a lobster. I don't care anything about lobsters, so I'll use this. Very random for our collage. Now, this lobster to use in a collage, there's some very serious and intense cutting required for this. So I would do it though. I would totally commit to this. I'm not going to commit to it for Facebook Live and for a school demonstration, but you know, it wouldn't take that long to cut this out, but you've got to say, I'm going to cut it out, because imagine how beautiful this lobster would look if I cut all around every little leg and all of these little ins and outs, and then glued that on top of these stripes. That would be so beautiful in a collage. That needs to be, I need to commit to that, because that's really good. Not for camera though. So boring to watch somebody cut, I think. Maybe a time lapse. So I'm going to show you how to glue down for your collage. Now, in the past, when I have had students do collage, I have to manipulate them by hiding the glue for days and not letting anyone glue anything down until they have cut everything out. They have played with the placement over and over until we know that's exactly how we want it to go. You know, if you've got to move it, you can take a picture of it. You know, when you get it just the way you want it and you like it, and we know that you've done everything that you can to make this collage amazing, then you can glue it down. It is very helpful to take a photo of it if you've got a lot of layers, so you can remember how you had it placed. Because when you've got this, even just what I have here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 6 items to glue down. And I mean, of course I can remember that, but if I had a lot, you know, I've got to move all of these things out of the way so that I can glue the back pieces down first. So you want to, you might need to take you a little photo of that. But let me show you how to glue down. So I'm going to move my background out of the way, and this is going to be my first piece that I glue down. One thing that I like to do when I do any sort of collage is I like to wrinkle up my paper just because I like how it looks. And if I were going to paint on top of it, it would be much more interesting if I had crinkled it up first. Another thing that's very helpful when you're doing collage, you will learn that edges that have been torn will glue down better and smoother than edges that are really sharp and smooth like this. So you can take a ruler or some sort of sharp edge. I really do this a lot. I put it down and then I just pull against it to tear it, and then you have a little torn edge and that just lies down. I mean, it's just so smooth. It's also a great way to cut things instead of using scissors. Like in the piece behind me, I told you I'd taken little strips of a hem and strips from a map. Well, I didn't cut those with scissors. I took my ruler and I did like this, and I just started making strips that way, and that's how I got those pieces. And I like the way it looks, and I like the way that it lies flat. All right, so I don't even remember what I had on the front. For some reason, I think the word Hosanna was showing. Who knows? Okay, so now the next thing you want to do, you can use Elmer's glue. You can use a glue stick. Oddly enough, I don't have either one of those things here, but I have Mod Podge, which I love because one thing I want you to notice is that I am gluing this on a piece of scrap paper. I'm not gluing this down. I'm not doing that glue on my table, so I don't have glue all over the place, though I'm sure there's plenty of glue on it. And I also didn't glue that down on my background because I don't want glue everywhere. I just want it on this piece of paper. Okay, so pretend like you didn't just see this part. Okay, so now I'm going to put it down where I had it, maybe, and spread that out. Now, people who are like super careful about everything they do would now go and put another coat of Mod Podge on top of this. I am not going to do that because this magazine paper is so thin and I never glued it down like I told you. And if I start just coating it in Mod Podge, it's just gonna buckle up with all of that water. So I'm not gonna do that. Now the next piece that I needed to put on was, I need to get these little heads glued on real quick. Okay, so she's the last element of this collage, this very random and kind of boring collage, but you can always add to it. Now, that's the thing that you've got to remember when you're doing your collage, is there's no rush for it, and I really discourage you from Mod Podging the first day. Like, cut out your stuff, play around with your composition. You know, don't just think you've got to glue it all down immediately and just, you know, that's no fun. Because, you know, you might be working on your collage and then you find this amazing lobster, you know, and you think, oh, I wish I could put that behind her head. Well, too late, because now I've already glued it down. So, you know, wait until you've got it all together in the way you like it, and then glue it. And also consider altering your pieces before you glue them down. Like this has the watercolor on it, this was crinkled, this has the heads attached to it. You can't even see my crinkles now, they're completely gone. The last step for this would be, if I had glued it down to the watercolor paper as I originally should have, is that I would, when I was finished with this, I would coat the whole piece with Mod Podge, shiny or matte, that's up to you. And that just kind of seals the whole deal. Some of the pieces I showed you earlier, the little pieces that I do on wood block like this, for, you know, when I was using these pieces that are really thick, you know, they're paper plate with really thick paint on them, I used Elmer's glue to glue this down. There's no way my Mod Podge would have held that. Actually, no, I didn't. I didn't use Elmer's glue. I used that, what is it called? It's called like tacky glue. It's the kind of glue that I use a lot. Haven't used this in a while. And as you can see, I lost the top for it. But I do that all. That's my makeshift top. It works. And then I store it upside down because this glue is so thick that it takes forever to squeeze it out. So when I really get into collage, I keep it like in a cup or a jar so that when I'm ready to use it, it's right there for me. And I'll usually even like put me a little pile of it on a paper plate, and then I just use my fingers to brush glue on the back of all of my little parts and pieces. And then it holds really well, but I still, at the end, when I'm finished, I still like coat over the whole thing with Mod Podge, or sometimes I use this other stuff that's called triple thick glaze. And it just kind of seals all the edges down and keeps anything from peeling up later. That is my demonstration and lots of talking about collage today. And so I think that it would be really awesome if all of you would create a collage. Again, you could start with a theme, but also your theme might change once you find, you know, the amazing lobster photo that you didn't know you had. I think it would be good to just like pick up an old magazine, start flipping through it, start tearing out pages, things that you like, images that you like, and don't try to like lock yourself in at that point to, oh, this is going to be my theme. Just start creating your pile of cool images, and then kind of lay those out and say, okay, what have I got here? What do I have? Any sort of like recurring theme? Is there one color that stands out the most? And maybe it's just that you like all of these images and you think that they look cool together. And start cutting those out. You know, really don't cut them out like this. Like commit to it. Cut out the image all the way around. And then, you know, start playing around. Also, find you an interesting background to work with. Again, an old painting works great. I did a piece for someone, a collage piece, and I had an old painting here on a canvas that, I mean, it was a pretty painting, but it wasn't, I didn't really care anything about it. I liked the colors, and I was like, oh, I'll just glue it onto this, that'll be fine. And it turned out great because all you could see were just little tiny bits and pieces of that old painting. You couldn't tell it at all what it was. It was just nice color in the background. You could do that with an old watercolor painting that was kind of a disaster. It'll be a good background, you know. Anything to me is better than just a piece of white, boring, nothing. So you can have fun with that and play around with your images. If you find, maybe you've got a photo that you really like that you've made, that you could, if you have a printer at home, you could, you know, print like 10 copies of it and change the size of it, or like zoom in and find one area that you like. A lot of things look better in multiples, and then imagine what they would look like if you painted on top of them, or used your color pencils on top, or markers, and just have fun with it. You can, as you can see, I really didn't realize how much I used collage. I guess I was in denial about it, but I really do. I could sit for hours with my bucket of old paper plates and cut out images all day long and glue those together. Gives me great joy to do. So I hope that y'all have fun with collage, and I would love to see your images, see what you come up with.